Is now the time to trade Nathan Eovaldi? Find out next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Wednesday, July 19th. I am Frank Samfel, joined by Scott White, and let's talk about Nathan Eovaldi, who technically had a good start. Scoreless outing up against the Tampa Bay Rays. However, his fastball velocity was down 2.4 miles per hour. He averaged just 93.1 miles per hour on that fastball, where for most of the season, he's been around 95, 96 on that pitch. We know Eovaldi has an extensive injury history as well. Obviously, Scott, we're not saying just trade Nathan Eovaldi for anything, but I feel like if you could cash in and get fair value for him, it's something I really would consider doing right now.
Yeah, and unlike a lot of sell high scenarios, or in this case, fear of something going wrong scenario, it hasn't actually gone wrong yet. He's continued to pitch well as the velocity's been down, including in this game. And so I think the average fantasy player isn't going to dig too deep into it. They're going to look at his season-long line. They're going to look at his recent starts and say, okay, this is a good buy for me. Eovaldi's a good pitcher. But yeah, I'm fearful too of what's been going on with his velocity, particularly since he's a pitcher who relies on throwing very hard. That's always been a key to Eovaldi's success. And one of the curious aspects of this is, so it's basically 4 of his past 5 starts now. The velocity's been down. The one start where it wasn't was his worst start during that stretch. So it's a little confounding, and I'm not sure what to make of any of it really. But I do agree, rather than accept the risk of Eovaldi collapsing with this reduced velocity, it's better to just cash in. Because even if he doesn't, even if you sell on him and Eovaldi ends up fine, well, you've still gotten the equivalent of Eovaldi back in a trade, so you don't lose. It's like a no-lose scenario for you, and that's why I think it's worth doing. If you can't get a fair offer, fine, just write it out. But it's worth looking into.
I'll give you 2 names here, Scott. Would you trade Eovaldi for either Sandy Alcantara or Kyle Schwarber, if you could pull it off?
Well, certainly I do it for Alcantara, who I continue to rank higher than Eovaldi, even when Eovaldi was at his best. Schwarber, it depends what you need, but I think that would be fair enough return if hitting and home runs and outfield is more of a need for you.
All right, let's slide over to some waiver wire pitchers. Edward Cabrera made his return to the Marlins rotation. He was at the Cardinals, 5 innings, 1 run allowed, 6 strikeouts in that one. Logan T. Allen also made his return to the Guardians rotation. He was at the Pirates, 5 shutout innings with 8 strikeouts in that one. And Patrick Sandoval pitched very well against the Yankees, 7 1/3 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, with 17 swinging strikes in that start. Scott, do you actually have any interest in these names? Sandoval, Logan Allen, and Edward Cabrera.
Not a ton. The most interesting is Cabrera. He has 3 pitches with a 35% whiff rate or better. Control's an issue. It's always been an issue in 3 walks in 5 innings. It was an issue even in this start. So it's not like he is a sure thing. But I think I have the most hope for Cabrera putting together a big second half. Allen and Sandoval have potential still, but I'll point out that Allen, despite allowing 1 hit in 5 innings and having the 8 strikeouts, 94.1 was the average exit velocity against him in this start, and his fastball was also down 1.5 miles per hour. So I think he had a good start, but I think there are a lot of warning signs still there for Allen. And in Sandoval's case, yes, he was awesome in this start, and we've long thought he had potential. The 6 starts prior to this one, Sandoval had a 6.23 ERA and a 181 whip. So it's just not quite enough for me to buy back in fully on that upside.
All right, let's talk about some waiver wire hitters. And at corner infield, we've got Spencer Torkelson, who had a double dong on Tuesday. He's now up to 14 home runs. Eugenio Suarez hit his 13th. He's been playing better recently. Jake Burger, 2 for 5 with 3 RBI, hitting well in the month of July. And Joey Votto hit his 8th home run in 23 games with the Reds. Scott, how would you rank that group? Torkelson, Suarez, Burger, and Votto.
So the StatCast page has looked better than the production for Torkelson for a long time. And that's why I'm hopeful that this recent surge in production is something that'll stick for him. So in his past 16 games, Torkelson's batting .297 with 6 home runs. I think that makes him worth rostering in any league with a corner infield spot. I might slot Votto ahead of him still among this group. Certainly if you like need to trust in whatever player you're picking up to be your corner infielder for the rest of the season, I think Votto's the way to go. But Torkelson has more upside if you can afford to speculate on that. And Burger provides big power, but nothing else. He'd probably be third on the list. Suarez, who has the best recent track record, going year by year, I'm actually saying he's fourth, even with the 5 home runs in July. I just don't have as much faith in him as those other 3.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.